Hi, this is a short tutorial on a PowerPoint presentation. As usual, you'll find PowerPoint usually on the dock. It's designated by a P. If I hold the point there over it, you'll see Microsoft PowerPoint. And as usual, if you can't find it there, if you type PowerPoint in up here, you'll find it. Okay, so I'm going to double click that to open. And I get this dialog box. And I'm just going to choose a white background for the moment. I can choose some of the other themes there if I want, but I'm just going to pick a white one. And I'm going to just take that little corner, there's a little diamond, pull it out to make sure that it's full size of the page. Now, I have another chance to think about the themes that I want to use here. If I go up, as with Word, we have all these little menus up here, and I'm going to pick themes. So I'm going to go along, and I want something that's not very obvious or gaudy, something just that's very slight. I can go in here and I can change the colors of the different backdrops, and I can change the background here. But this is fine for me now for the moment. So I'm going to put in the title of the presentation, and PowerPoint sets up, it gives you these boxes which are text boxes, and they're all set up ready for text really. So all I have to do is put in the assertion point and go artist presentation. So just as in all the other programs, I can select the text, and at the home, if I go into home here, I can make it bold, I can underline it, I can change the color if I want to change the color in there. So there's lots of different things I can do. I can change the size of the text, and I can change the font by going in here and seeing what fonts are available. And I can pick a fancy one if I like. Now the important thing to remember is that once you've picked a font, that you should keep that consistent throughout the overall presentation. So I'm going to go Arial Narrow. Now, if I want to see that as a slide, as I would have in my presentation, I come down to this little here, this little icon, and this is trying to show a screen, and this is how the slideshow runs. And I see that's what I would be seeing on screen. If I want to go back to editing my presentation, I press the escape button on the top of the left-hand side of the keyboard. So I'm back. Okay, so undo that. So I want to add a new slide. So the next slide that I want to do, I want to add several lines of information. But I don't want all of these to come up all at once because it could confuse the viewer. So I'm going to just do some pretend information here. Okay, so I have that. My next point is born in Russia. Went to art college at CCAD. He died better make it a little bit realistic, 1900. Okay, so I might make just one more to make the point. Okay, so I have these points, but when I show up this slide, I want them to come up one by one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to animation. So now when I go up to animation, it gives me access to this window. So I'm going to select this box. I want to select it so that those little corners, see those little blue circles well, those circles become blue, and I click on appear. And when I do that, it just flashes like that, and I get these little numbers. So when I click on the slideshow now, I just get the top heading, which is background. And if I click my spacebar or my mouse, I get each one of these comes down one at a time. So that makes it just a little bit easier for the viewer to take in the information. So the next thing I want to do is I want to insert a new page, so get a new slide, and I want to put an image into it. So I go photo, insert photo, picture from file. I find the folder that I'm looking for, which is on my memory stick, which is attached here, paintings, and I pick this Bruegel painting. I want to move it up a little bit so that it gives me a little bit of space on the bottom. Now, I have a Word box there, but I'm going to get rid of that just for the moment. And if I want to put some text in here, the one way to do it is to go there, take text, and drag out a box. And this I'm just going to try and make that box the same size as the image. And as you can see, when I draw near there, it starts to give me a line to tell me that I'm in the same place as the box. So I double click there to text, and I text in Bruegel. So Peter Bruegel I want. So Peter Bruegel, and the name of the painting. Tower of Babel. The size is, I don't know, 400 by 300. I'm going to put inches because I'm old. Okay. Now I can reorganize this. So I select it, go back to the Home tab, move it into the center, put in the insertion point, bring that down, perhaps make that a little bit smaller so the information is there, but it's not obstructing the image. So again, I'll just have a look at that. So that's what my slide looks like. Okay. Now the next thing, I want to do a new slide again, and I want to bring in a couple of photographs just to show you that it doesn't have to be just one image. So if you need to, you can put several images on a page together. So also I want to change the scale. So I want to bring it down, make it a little bit smaller. I go back, get another image. So again, I'm going to make that smaller. So I can have two images on a page. I can, by going to the home page, get the text box, bring out the text. I can add text in here. I can add more text in here if I want. So there's a range of options that you have. So this is Gustave Doré, and I could put this, the name of the painting and the size, etc. Just take another box here, and this is, name's gone on my head. Okay, another. So just for the sake of that, we'll just put it there. Okay. Remember, we can take away those text boxes anytime we like. It is also possible to put in videos. I'm not going to show that just today, but for anybody who wants to do a presentation with a video, we can look at that at a later date. Now, just as we did in the Word presentation, the CV, we've got to go through and look at these images and try and make them compressed or make them as small as possible. So we go to the compress button there, and we go to best for sending email. Click OK. Go on to the next slide, click on this image, compress best for email, OK. Click on this image, compress, best for email, OK. And now I've got to reduce the file size. So File, Reduce File Size, best for email. Now, what I could do here is make a copy of it. So if I say best for email, I could make a copy for best for screen, and I could have two copies. So that if I was showing it on screen, I would use the best for screen, and if I was emailing it, I would do best as email. But I can do that by saying save as, and that saves a copy, and I can make two copies there. So, all right, I'm just going to save this out. Presentation 2. I'm just going to put it on the desktop for a second, so that once again I go out here, I find this, I go in my Finder, I go File, Get Info, and I see that it's 274 kilobytes. So there's 1,000 kilobytes in a megabyte, and I've requested that you make it 2 megabytes. So this is very small indeed, and won't put any pressure on sending it through email, etc. So that's the end of this presentation. And as usual, if you have any problems, no problem to talk to me.